In today's video, let us try to understand the internal factors that is affecting the project's execution. Let me switch on the pen. So today we are discussing the internal factors that is affecting the project's execution. Now here, if you see, these are some of the examples of the internal factors that can affect the project. So when we get into any organization for executing the projects, definitely if it is an existing organization which is already functional, then okay, we have the process assets. This is the quality management processes, the safety related processes, project management procedures, guidelines, quality management procedures, guidelines, risk management procedures, guidelines. So the entire set of process sets within the organization, that is an example for the internal project environment, because we need to understand what are all the processes the owner is demanding, what are the processes the contractors are following, what are the processes the subcontractors and the suppliers are following. All these have an impact on project planning and execution. So one need to be aware of these things. Then project governance, documentation. What are all the documentation we need to do when we do the project? Very often this refers to the statutory documentation. Then from the past projects, okay, we have the accumulated data which we can refer to. Example, productivities, defect densities, mean time between failures. So all these are examples of data assets. And we have knowledge assets also. Whatever we've learned from the historical projects, that is also available. Then security and safety related information, procedures, guidelines. This may vary from organization to organization. This will vary from country to country. So we have to be very clear about it. And then organizational culture, structure, and governance. Is it a functional organization? Is it a projectized organization? Is it a matrix organization? Again, different countries, okay, they may have different cultures, then their national holidays, working hours, the style of management. We need to be aware of all these things while planning the projects. Then the geographical distribution of facilities and resources. Now, if the project is happening in 5 different locations within the city itself, then we should be very clear about the geographical spread of the project locations, as well as contractors, subcontractors, suppliers. We should be aware of it. Now, we have a supplier now coming from a war-torn area or with the possibility of a war. That is a risk. So we need to be aware of this geopolitical stuff as well. Then the infrastructure available for project execution, because we cannot assume everything. Okay, even for a training program, when we request for stuff, we have to be very, very clear about the availability of these things. Now, we may assume that a particular equipment is available in that particular geography, and based on that assumption, we may plan the project. But when we really get into the field, these things may not be available. That can impact the project performance. Then the software tools used, for example, somebody may be using the Primavera for the project scheduling. Somebody else may be using MS Project. Somebody else may be using Google Sheets or see, and sometimes there is a need for these things to integrate and talk to each other. And if that doesn't happen, then monitoring and controlling can become an issue. So we need to be aware of before project planning, we need to be aware of the software systems used by the owner, the contractor, the subcontractors, the suppliers, and the consultants. Then the resource availability. Now, we may assume that, let's say, qualified resources are available for that particular project in a particular location, and that may not be real. When you really go there, you may find it difficult to get the right resources on time. Then you get into trouble. Then employee capability. Now, you may assume that your programmer will give this many lines of code per day. And if you don't get that kind of a productivity, then you are in trouble. So we need to get people who are capable of doing these things. So these are some of the examples of stuff that can impact your project. This is not the complete list. These are some examples. So before getting into project, as a planner, or as a project manager, we need to understand these things. Otherwise, our assumptions can go wrong, which can impact the project negatively. Yeah, so that is the end of this video. And we were discussing about the internal factors that can affect the project's performance. This is just a sample list. And in the next video, we'll be discussing about the external factors one should be aware of, external to the project organization, that can impact our project performance. Now, in the current scenario now, there is a big problem going on in Europe because of Russia controlling the gas and the power supply. So the cost of manufacturing is going up, the inflation is happening, and this may disrupt the supply chains for many items. Because before this, we had a disruption because of the pandemic. So people might have moved from maybe China to maybe the European countries. And now even that area can get affected because of these things. And all these has an impact on projects. So these are something external to the project organization. So in the next video, we'll be discussing about the external factors that one must be aware of before getting into projects, because it is not affecting negatively. Sometimes we'll be able to leverage it also. So, so we must understand those aspects as well. So if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. And if you want to gain more details, get more details about our instructor-led PMP program, please visit this link. I've given this link at the description of the video as well. That is the pmri.in/PMP. So just click on it. You will get more information about the instructor-led training. Thank you very much.